Hi everyone, welcome back to Plan V Works. And before we begin our card for today, I wanted to share with you the gifts that I made and gave out to some of my son's teachers and some of my friends. Now, these are several cards that you can use all year long. It has birthday cards, thank you cards, sympathy, Valentine's, and these are the usual cards that you would give out on the most common occasions out there. And I decided to do this because I figured it would be better to give out something that they too can share with other people that they care about. And the last card that you will see here is the one that we're going to make, and that is the Yeti or Not, It's Christmas. And I absolutely love this card. This was part of the kit that came with the gifts, and I think that all of these cards came out so wonderfully. So let's start with our stamp set here. It's from Simon Says Stamp called Yeti for Christmas. Now, this was a free stamp set that they were giving out last Black Friday, and I love it. It's so cute. So all I had to do was buy the coordinating dies, and I have the complete set. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to build a lot of these very, very soon to give out to my friends. Other than that, you can just go on and use the stamp set and you'll be good to go. I'm using my Hero Arts dye ink here because I will be using my alcohol markers. I have my glitter glue, my adhesive, and my card base and card panel that's 5.5 by 4.25, and my card panel would be 4 by 5.25, and this will be vertical in orientation. Now I'm also going to use the Simon Says Stamp 3D embossing folder that's called Kaleidoscope. Now this is not exactly Christmas, but it has, sometimes when I look at it, it looks a little bit like snowflakes. That's why I'm going to use this, because I absolutely love how this embossing folder looks, or how the effect turns out on paper. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now I will be using my Copic markers for this. You can still use your watercolors or any kind of marker that you have that you're comfortable with to use. And you don't have to use the same color palette, but just because I wanted to use a non-traditional color palette, I'm using this set for this particular card. Now I'm also going to be using my Simon Says Stamp stencil. That's a lot to say. Simon Says Stamp stencil. This was from a card kit a few months ago, and I absolutely love it. I have used this in a lot of my cards, and I'm going to use this for this one. And when you look at it, I'm just trying to see which of these speech bubbles will suit well for our sentiments in the Yeti for Christmas set. It might seem like it's a little too big or a little too small here and there, but we are going to do a little trick later on, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and it will stretch your stencils and the use of your stencils, and to suit your projects even better. So let's begin our card right now. Now, the first step in creating this card is to stamp the images to your cardstock. Now, you can do this as many times as you like. And as you can see here, I've already done that. I've made several. And this is where the coordinating die comes in handy, because all I need to do is run the image with a coordinating die through my die cutting machine instead of fuzzy cutting them one by one. Now, if you're just going to make one or two cards, if you don't have the coordinating dies, that's fine too, because this is not a very complicated shape and it'll be easy to fuzzy cut. However, in my case, since I'm making a ton of these little guys, the coordinating dies, of course, will come in handy. Now I'm just using my Copic markers here to color in my little guys. Now you can see that I'm using a C and W colors. These are coming from different ends of the spectrum when it comes to the grays of Copic, and that's because if I keep using the C tones, then my guy is gonna look a little bit more blue than gray and white. So just to give that contrast and variety in the shade, I'm using two colors of gray from different ends of the spectrum here, and I think it came out so nicely. And it's not a little bit blue, and it's not too gray either, and I loved how it came out. Now I'm also going to be using my R11 here, I believe, and that is to color in the paws. I don't know what they're called. They're so cute. I'm just lost for words. To match the rosy cheeks. Again, you don't have to use Copic markers. Whatever kind of marker you're most comfortable in to use will be fine. You can even use your colored pencils, crayons, or any other medium that you are most comfortable with. And the important thing is that you're just having fun coloring these guys in, because that is what this activity is all about. Now you can blend in some colors with a alcohol marker, sure, but you can also do that with your colored pencils using Gamsol. And I've had a few videos where I demonstrated how to do that as well. Now, if you don't have a whole lot of medium to choose from, you can use just colored pens or whatever it is that you feel will have the effect that you would want for this image to come out. Now again, I'm using this color palette because I love the variety of Christmas colors that have recently come out. This is like more of a frozen color palette, and I love that there are a lot more color varieties to choose from out there, not just the traditional reds and gold and greens. And this has really given us a lot to work with and a lot of creativity when creating all of these images and cards lately. And just like that, our little guy is almost done, and I'm just making sure that I have enough shading here and there to create a little bit more dimension on my guy here, and it looks so cute. I hope that the color, that you can see the exact color from the monitor that you're watching this from, and I love how these guys turn out. Now before we die cut all of these guys, there, as you can see, I will first use my Simon Says Stamp 3D Kaleidoscope embossing folder and run our card base right through it, just because I wanted to get this out of the way, because there's going to be a few more of these that I need to make. And I wanted to show you guys very quickly how it turned out. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that background. However, while I was putting in my Yeti, I realized that it's a little too strong even after I added those trees in to join in. So I figured I had to do something to make the Yeti and the trees the focal point of my card and not draw too much attention on the background because it's so strong and powerful. So what I did was to cut this oval shaped frame, and that's exactly what it will do. It will frame our images right at the center and make that a more visible focal point, and that will not allow the images to just disappear into the background because it's so strong and beautiful. So even then, as I was looking at it and measuring where my sentiment will go, I felt like it was still lacking because it was too white on white with the sentiment. So I decided to create a little scene in the background there. Now I don't have the coordinating dies or stencils to make the snowbank background. So what I'm doing is just sketching here a snowbank, and I'm just gonna fuzzy cut that. And this is a little trick that a lot of crafters do because you can't have all the stencils or die cuts that you will need. And so what we do is just get crafty and try to create the effect that we would want to have. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. By creating this stencil, I can now use my Distress Oxide and gently blend in the kind of hill that I would want to have in the background here. Now that will give the elements a bit more sense on when it comes to layering them, because with the hills or the snowbanks in the background, it gives you more reason to put the images in different levels or in different dimensions, because there are hills in the background or snowbanks to put them to. Now as you can see, with our strong card panel embossed right there, it still makes the elements up front pop out. And I will use some foam tape to make sure that these guys up front, it has a bit more dimension than the trees here. And before we do that, I'm just gonna start making my sentiment bubble right here. Now, as you can see, the bubble is a little too long on the sides and the top and bottom is a little too scrunched up. So I wanted to do something about that to make it fit exactly how I want it. So what I'm doing here is basically just coloring in or blending in my Distress Ink Oxide from the top where I would want the sentiment to begin and from the side here. And as you can see, I'm just doing half of the bubble here, half from the top, half from the side, and half from the bottom again. And in hindsight, I should have taped this, but I figured I was too lazy because I keep moving around that speech bubble stencil, and I just didn't want to keep taking out the tape on and off. So I just didn't do it. But in hindsight, I should have, and that would have made my work a little bit easier. Now, as you can see, I have here the stencil bubble that I wanted exactly to the size that I needed it to be. And the next thing I do is just fuzzy cut it, leaving a bit of white space in the edges there. It makes it look a little bit like a sticker or a die cut. And now I can put together my card now that all the elements are complete. Now, creating this card was so much fun, and it saved me from going back and forth to the stores and just buying more stuff for friends as gifts. Now, these cards just gave me more reason to get craftier, and at the same time, once they give it out to their friends and loved ones, they don't have to keep anything that will just take more room or more space in their closets or in their cabinets or in their drawers. They're in fact giving it away to people that they care about. And that's what I loved about making these card kits as presents. And they were just great alternatives to the usual gifts that we give out. When I gave these out, I put a set of stamps to go with it as well and envelopes that match it, just to make sure that it's handier and easier for them to give it out. Now I'm just adding some glitter glue here to make it more finished, and because I love the shine and the glitter on all my holiday cards. And I love exactly how it looks. These cards were great gift alternatives to my friends, and I hope that you guys try it too. And I know the holidays are almost over, but if you were inspired and you enjoy this video, please try making these cards and consider liking and subscribing to Plan V Works for more affordable crafting, resourceful hacks, and easy techniques. I hope all you guys enjoy the rest of your holiday. Have a great one.